asking the questions mainstream journalists will never ask. This is your Richie Allen Show on richieallen.co.uk, Fab Radio 2 in Manchester, and triggerwarning.tv.
Right, let's talk for a minute about Tommy Robinson, Stephen Lennon. Now, the BBC reports today, as does every other news outlet in this country, that former English Defence League leader Tommy Robinson has been jailed for potentially prejudicing a court case. It can be reported now. Robinson, who appeared in the dock under real name Stephen Yaxley Lennon, was arrested in Leeds on Friday. He was broadcasting on social media outside the city's Crown Court, where a trial was ongoing. Now, a ban on reporting his 13-month sentence at the same court was lifted after being challenged by the media. He's from Bedfordshire and he pleaded guilty to a charge of contempt of court. A judge told him on Friday his actions could cause the ongoing trial to be rerun, costing hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds. In footage, which was played to the court on Friday, Robinson was seen filming himself and people involved in the trial. Now, the court heard how the footage, which supposedly lasted around an hour, had been watched 250,000 times within hours of being posted online via Facebook. During the hearing, the defending solicitor, Matthew Harding, claimed that Robinson had deep regret for what he had done. He was arrested outside Leeds Crown Court, having video recorded a number of men, including defendants, involved in a live trial who were entering the building. They were going into the court. And he live streamed that footage on Facebook in what he claimed was an attempt at legitimate court reporting. Now, I wrote about this today. It's on richieallen.co.uk. If you want to read more in depth about it, so I'm going to be kind of brief here and kind of sum up what I wrote today as best as I can. If you're listening to the programme for the first time, I'm a journalist. I'm a qualified journalist. I've been reporting on political events, on crime, on sport, and on court cases for a long time. Now, restrictions on reporting are common, particularly where there might, for example, be a series of linked trials. Now, a number of online solicitors today and one or two barristers were very good in explaining the law to lay people. I'm somewhere between a lay person and a clerk, I suppose. I wouldn't say somewhere between a lay person and a lawyer. I wouldn't be as arrogant as to say that. Somewhere between a lay person and a clerk. I know the law, particularly as it relates to the media. I had to know it. I had to know it chapter and verse at one time. Now, where there's a grooming trial on, there might be a dozen people involved, accused of being involved in a grooming gang. So you might have more than one trial. So you might not get reporting restrictions just on the one trial. You might also get a reporting restriction on all of those trials. Why? So that jurors who might be going to hear a later trial won't be prejudiced by what they see or hear in today's trial. Because today's trial is linked to the one they're going to hear. You get it? You get it. So you might get restrictions on reporting until all trials have concluded. Right. So last May, Lennon, let's call him by his real name, Stephen Lennon, turned up at a rape trial at Canterbury Crown Court. And he attempted to film the defendants at Canterbury Crown Court. He attempted to film them for an online broadcast. And he entitled the online broadcast, this is what he called it, Tommy Robinson in Canterbury exposing Muslim child rapists. Think about that. Guys are on trial, defendants. He's trying to capture them going in and out of court and the people with them, presumably. And he entitles it Tommy Robinson in Canterbury exposing Muslim child rapists. So the judge heard about this and she was properly pissed off, as right she was to be pissed off. So she hooked him in. She was well angry because she had to make alternative arrangements for the jury and the defendants to leave because there was a danger they were going to be filmed by our hero, Stephen Lennon. So Lennon was streaming in Canterbury. He was boasting about catching Muslim paedophiles. And he was threatening to go around people's houses. Our hero. And bragging that the police had begged him not to. So he was referring to people who were on trial. He didn't name them, but he wanted to film them, put it out there, and say he was going to go around their houses. These guys were on trial, right? I'm going to keep saying that. They were on trial, a live trial. So the judge properly found he was in contempt of court by filming inside the court building, but that he was also in common law contempt. Why? Because after being advised that he shouldn't do it by the court staff, he ignored it and went and did it anyway. So the judge looked at his broadcast and said, you know what, this could cause a mistrial, it could derail the trial, and said, I'll tell you what, son, I sentence you to 3 months in prison. But the judge was nice. She suspended that for a period of 18 months. This was last May. Now you can read her summary to Lennon. It's all over the internet and it is brilliant. Her explanation to him in open court was right on. She brilliantly laid out the law and why the law is necessary. Why it is necessary. Robinson, or Lennon as we're calling him, was told that if he did it again, he'd be jailed. He accepted it. Accepted he was wrong. Said he wouldn't do it again. And interestingly enough, Lennon said this on camera last Friday in Leeds. He actually said on camera that he was aware he was breaking the law. Exposing paedophiles. Stephen Lennon. Yeah. So what you had in Canterbury and what you had in Leeds was you had an inarticulate, convicted, violent criminal, a violent thug, running around outside courtrooms, boasting on camera about exposing pedo gangs. He's an idiot. I reckon he's maybe the greatest fool that's ever owned a YouTube channel. But he's probably a wealthy fool. This is the irony. This is the craziness of this paradigm we live in this alt-right versus alt-left world, us versus them. Celebrities are made out of complete idiots like Stephen Lennon. Fools. You see, running around talking about exposing paedophiles in there, taxpayer money, your money, my money, to the tune of hundreds of thousands of pounds has been spent on the prosecution of the alleged sex offenders who have a inalienable right to be treated as innocent until proven guilty by a jury of their peers. They've spent years on the prosecutions. Years of work maybe. Effort, detection, investigation, evidence, witness statements, forensics. All of that has gone into prosecuting these men, whom again are innocent until proven guilty. And the cretin Lennon filming the jury, attempting to do that, attempting to film the defendants. And I tried to explain this clearly in the article I wrote today. Putting people's lives in danger. The lives of the men whom are innocent until proven guilty, whatever you might think about the charges against them, however disgusting those charges are, however emotional it might make you feel. This is the principle upon which the law and democracy is founded, that the state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you did what you are accused of and that you will be presumed innocent until proven guilty. So you have this clown filming people and using terms like Muslim paedophiles about men who have not been convicted, exposing people, relatives, friends, brothers, sisters, families, mothers, fathers, exposing them to possible retaliation and possible violence. It is beyond irresponsible. And I don't believe Lennon is so stupid that he doesn't know how wrong that is. But Lennon is not really interested in exposing paedophiles now, is he? Lennon is a celebrity. It's what it's always been about. A celebrity. Standing up for paedophiles. standing up for the victims of violence, says the man who was kicking 9 kinds of shit out of his then girlfriend in 2005 when an off-duty policeman ran across the street to stop him doing it. In the fracas, he kicked the policeman in the head and he went down for assaulting a police officer. There were multiple witnesses. This is a violent thug. And there are those listening to this programme tonight who would laud him and put him on a pedestal and say this is a free speech issue. It's not a free speech issue. It's got nothing to do with your rights to an opinion. Because on these trials where we have these reporting restrictions, these restrictions are removed the minute that the jury gets the case. So when the prosecution has finished putting on their case and when the defence has responded and when you have the motions, the post-trial motions and all of that, the jury are handed the case and told to go and deliver a verdict. At that point, journalists whom are present during these trials are free then to write what they like. Do you understand? What is it with the cognitive dissonance? Is there really that much stupidity? Is there really that much ignorance among listeners to the independent media that they can't see what's going on with the likes of Sean Tommy Robinson Lennon and the Ann Coulters and the Katie Hopkins and the Lorne Southerns? These people come along every few years with their absolutes and their black and white interpretations of geopolitical events. You know the irony? Robinson boasting about exposing. He's never exposed anything in his life. I'm sure he's exposed himself a few times. But we'll be speaking to a lady later on who exposed grooming in Rotherham. A whistleblower who was retaliated against and kept on going and got it into the national press. That's journalism. That's exposing paedophilia and exposing grooming gangs. He's a wannabe celebrity who runs around playing to his base, telling his listeners what they want to hear. I'm exposing paedophilia. You're exposing nothing. The Crown Prosecution Service is indoors, having spent your money and my money, as I've already said, not to labour the point, on securing a prosecution against the alleged offenders. And you're out there, possibly, very probably, in fact, bringing about a situation where there'll be no justice for anybody. Am I happy that Tommy Robinson, Sean Lennon, whatever his name is, has gone to prison? No, I'm not. Because I've never been small-minded. I've never been petty. Never been like that in my life. I don't think it's funny. There are no winners here. None. Robinson's followers are as pig ignorant as they ever were. They've learned nothing from it. From Mr. Black versus White, Mr. Series of absolutes explained very simple language, us versus them. Those people who support him, who follow him, they've no idea what's really behind multiculturalism, what's really behind refugee crises that see millions of people displaced and running into Europe, causing problems in countries, not deliberately, for most of those people not deliberately, but causing problems with respect to the pressure put on social services. They have no idea. It's all very simple. It's us against Islam. Tommy against the pedos. No, it isn't. Nor was it ever. Going to take a very quick break. When we come back, I'm going to introduce our first guest. I'm not going to say any more about that. I have nothing more to say about that now or forevermore. If you want to read the piece I put on richieallen.co.uk, it's there. And I'll say for the last time, there's no triumphalism here. I've no joy that this guy is banged up for what will probably be 6 or 7 months, maybe less, maybe. Will he learn anything? Will he have a look at himself in the mirror? And this nonsense, this celebrity social media culture, which is just a vacuous echo chamber of nonsense. Will he? I doubt it very much. I'm sure he'll come out, carried adrift on the shoulders of his supporters, I took one for the team. They tried to silence me. Now send me more money.